So week one is an opportunity for us to really prove ourselves and to show the world that we are a contender in this league. And
It has certainly been a crazy past few weeks for Minnesota Vikings fans. The arrival of a new franchise quarterback always brings hope, optimism, and excitement like nothing else. But when that quarterback suffers an inconspicuous but season-ending injury in the preseason, we are once again reminded that this is a cruel sport, no doubt. However, as painful as that loss is for Vikings fans, they have one faint glimmer of hope. In Sam Darnold, they have a competent quarterback with something to prove. He benefits from a talented array of playmakers, one of the best offensive coaches in the league, and absolutely nothing to lose. It's now or never for Darnold, and with him at the helm, the Minnesota Vikings still have hope. Nobody quite knew what to expect from J.J. McCarthy this preseason, given he was just 21 years old and coming from a Michigan offense where the run game did most of the heavy lifting. It would have been fair to assume a quiet and cautious preseason for him. Well, in actual complete contrast to that, he came out on fire in preseason week 1, showing off his cannon arm, making smart reads, and outshining the rest of his fellow draft class. And while his injury is a brutal way for Vikings fans to start the season, there was at least a silver lining. He wasn't the only Vikings quarterback to make some good throws this preseason. Sam Darnold may have just experienced the fastest turnaround from winning to losing and then regaining a starting quarterback position in history. People were ready to hand the job to McCarthy after his mature and impressive performance against Las Vegas, but an intervention has now awarded Darnold the greatest opportunity of his career. The starting job is his for the entire 24 season, and this is likely the best group of playmakers he's ever had, aside from the occasional game when he was on San Francisco just last year. The 2018 third overall pick has been a point of fascination ever since his departure from New York. He's the ultimate beneficiary of draft pedigree, with fans, media, and NFL teams all believing that there is still some untapped potential that can be released within the right system. Well, now on the 4th team in his 6-year career, we are finally going to get our answer.
He's only 27 years old. I think people forget that. He came into the league so young, and he's been so many different places already. But I have to, people should understand that, like, even if J.J. McCarthy were fully healthy, there's a strong likelihood that Sam Darnold would have been the Vikings starting quarterback in week 1 and possibly for several weeks this season. So they'll go with him for longer than I think they might have planned, but they are very happy with the way he has looked and the way he has performed in training camp.
Let's start with the most obvious reason why. It's Justin Jefferson. Who else? The original JJ on the Vikings is one of the NFL's most remarkable talents, averaging 1,474 yards per season from his first 4 in the NFL. That has produced 1 first-team All-Pro, 2 second-team All-Pros, 3 Pro Bowls, and the NFL Offensive Player of the Year award in 2022. That insane 2022 season featured a league-leading 128 receptions for a league-leading 1,809 yards. To put it simply, Jefferson is unstoppable regardless of the coverage the defense gives him, and regardless of who Minnesota has at quarterback, he will produce, and he will be an invaluable resource in helping Sam Darnold settle into his role to move the offense. And one of the only ways that defenses can try to slow down Jefferson is with double coverage and even triple coverage at times. This lightens the load on his teammates, with the main beneficiary being Jordan Addison. As a rookie, Addison posted 911 yards and 10 touchdowns. He looked comfortable from the get-go, logging 133 yards and 2 touchdowns across his first 2 weeks. He held his own in support of Jefferson and stepped up nicely when Jefferson missed time with injury. Addison has a disappointing press coverage success rate of just 51.5%, according to Matt Harmon's reception perception, but that is completely mitigated by the presence of Justin Jefferson, with Jefferson demanding the opposing team's best cornerback and lining up on the line of scrimmage as the X-receiver. That frees up Addison to move around a bit more as the team's flanker. With Jalen Nailor now emerging as another interesting weapon on the outside, this might free up Addison to spend even more time in the slot. This mini preseason breakout by Nailor is an exciting development for Vikings fans. KJ Osborne has had big games with Kirk Cousins in the past, but his departure left a vacant wide receiver 3 spot. Nailor has flashed in the preseason, but could be about to give Sam Darnold a third intriguing target at wide receiver, so it will be fascinating to see how he gets on in the regular season. And there's no doubt about it, Sam Darnold is going to be well supported by his wide receivers. Justin Jefferson's presence alone is a game changer, but when you add in Addison or potentially Nailor, this is one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL. This pass-catching options don't even stop there, though. Of course, there's TJ Hawkinson, who is one of the best pass-catching tight ends in the entire NFL. Unfortunately, he is coming off a brutal ACL and MCL tear that might sideline him until November, but when he does return, Darnold will have many choices. You can also factor in Aaron Jones, who has had 4 consecutive seasons with over 350 yards receiving before last year's 233-yard effort. The setup for Sam is good, and when he drops back to pass, he should be able to find a dynamic playmaker, and he should also enjoy good protection from the offensive line. Dalton Risner, Garrett Bradbury, and Ed Ingram are solid but not spectacular in the middle, but Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill are very good in the tackle spots. Subbing out Dalvin Cook and elevating Alexander Mattison in 2023 didn't inspire much hope in the run game, with Mattison averaging just 3.9 yards per carry. Chandler showed signs of a bit more burst at times, but collectively, the Vikings could only muster up just over 1,500 rushing yards. That is good enough for the 29th best in the NFL, better only than the Raiders, Bengals, and Buccaneers. The future is bright on that front, with Aaron Jones offering a significant upgrade over Mattison. He crossed the 1,000-yard mark in 3 of the past 4 seasons prior to that. Any concerns about his age can be banished for now anyway, given that Jones hit the 100-yard mark in each of his last 5 games of the 2023 season, and that includes 2 games in the 2023 season's playoffs, highlighted by an impressive 118-yard, 3-touchdown performance in the infamous demolishing of Dallas.
I'm looking at his last 5 games of the year, including 2 playoff games, and I'm looking at 127 yards rushing and 120 yards, 111, 118, 103. He went over 100 yards 5 straight times to close the season out. Nobody in football had a higher average per game over those 5 games than Aaron Jones did.
This guy still has the juice, and he is yet another very talented piece of a Vikings offense that is absolutely built to give Sam Darnold the best possible chance of success. The one man we haven't properly discussed yet is the man with the headset, and that's head coach Kevin O'Connell. He started out hot, producing a 13-4 record and a division title in his first season in charge in 2022. Unfortunately, there was no opportunity to back it up in 2023, given Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles in the first half of the season. Nevertheless, he still managed to show off his quality, helping Josh Dobbs notch a win after barely spending a minute with the team. After the team's backup, Jaren Hall, suffered a concussion in the first quarter of his first game in charge, Dobbs was thrust into action despite only having spent a few games with the team. Obviously, no one could absorb a whole playbook in that time, so O'Connell resorted to talking to his new quarterback through each and every play. Right before the snap, he would even give pointers as to what the defense might do and where his receivers should break open. It appeared to be a mission impossible, but surprisingly, Dobbs and O'Connell both pulled it off, with Dobbs even becoming the first quarterback in franchise history to lead a game-winning drive on debut. Unfortunately, Dobbs' play actually declined once he was able to spend more time with the rest of his team, but it was still a remarkable effort nonetheless. O'Connell earned the Vikings head coaching job after a successful 2-year stint in LA, where he was the offensive coordinator during the Rams Super Bowl winning campaign in 2021. He comes from the famous, highly coveted Shanahan tree, which means he absolutely knows how to run an offense and absolutely knows how to put Sam Darnold in a position to succeed. In the preseason game against Las Vegas, Darnold only had 8 pass attempts. He completed 4 of them for 59 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Obviously, he didn't have a lot to show for what he could do in the new system, but he did throw 2 beauties to Jalen Naylor. He really feels like the kind of quarterback who can drive an offense if everything is good around him. And when you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison as your receivers, an improved run game, and Kevin O'Connell in your ear, that's a pretty pristine setup if you ask me. It is for that reason that I honestly believe that there is still plenty of reason to be hopeful as a Minnesota Vikings fan. Not only does Sam Darnold give this team a pretty similar ceiling to JJ McCarthy and potentially higher, but this also gives McCarthy a great opportunity to watch and learn. Remember, he is still just 21 years old, with plenty of development still ahead of him. And while Darnold hasn't managed to establish himself as a reliable NFL starter, he has gone through the process himself and has experienced the ups and downs of life in the NFL. He is an invaluable mentor for McCarthy, who knows he is standing on the team. He isn't going to feel resentment towards a younger quarterback, of course, and Darnold signed with the Vikings knowing that they would probably be drafting the future of their franchise. So for Darnold, this is just a perfect opportunity to try and earn a long-term contract next year, while also supporting McCarthy through the early stages of his learning process. And if Sam can grab this opportunity with both hands, the Vikings could be a lot of fun in 2024. We have spoken about all the offensive firepower, so now let's switch our attention to the defense. Where Brian Flores cooked up chaos on a weekly basis last year, his unit blitzed on 50.7% opposing quarterback dropbacks according to For the Numbers data, which was the most in the NFL. However, to make matters even worse and more confusing for opposing offenses, they also rushed on just 3 defensive linemen at a higher rate than anyone in the NFL with 19.1%. This extreme variance in pass rush and coverage was completely different from what any other team was putting out there, which helped his less talented defense personnel punch above their weight. Minnesota was a bottom 10 passing defense, but conceded with just 362 points across the season, which placed them 13th best. While that is nothing to get too excited about, it would be fair to assume that these numbers wouldn't have been slightly better if the offense didn't struggle so much after the Kirk Cousins injury. The loss of Danielle Hunter, who just posted a team-leading 16.5 sacks. His 8-year career in Minnesota just ended and produced a total of 87.5 sacks, which means he will be dearly missed. To help account for the loss, the Vikings have brought in Jonathan Grenard, Blake Cashman, and Andrew Van Ginkel in addition to drafting Dallas Turner, one of the more exciting defensive prospects at the top of the 2024 draft class. Grenard is a bigger signing here, and the player most likely to fit the shoes of Hunter. He is a couple of years younger, fresh off a career-best 12.5 sack season, and produces a much better win rate in 2023. Cashman and Van Ginkel are solid veteran talent who, along with Greenard, can help Dallas Turner develop into a stud. Ivan Pace is another name to watch here, having posted 102 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 1 interception, and a forced fumble in his first full season. The Vikings will be hoping that he can develop into a real stud at the heart of the defense this year. There isn't too much to shout about in the secondary, with Harrison Smith and Cam Bynum headlining the group from the safety position. The Vikings struggled to defend the pass in 2023 and haven't been able to make significant moves to upgrade the position in 2024. Overall, the Minnesota Vikings will have their work cut out in a tough 2024 NFC North. The Bears are the talk of the town with Caleb Williams running their new-look offense. The Packers, of course, look more dangerous than ever with Jordan Love being now locked up. And the reigning division champs, the Detroit Lions, will be hoping to at least represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. All three hold very strong claims to win the North, but the Vikings shouldn't be completely discarded. Well, at least not yet. This offense can challenge any team in the NFL, even with Sam Darnold at the helm, so don't rule him out or the Vikings just yet. He does have all the playmakers that he would need and a fantastic offensive coordinator calling the shots. Now it's just time to get it done, Sam, as you may not get another chance in the league. So what do you think the 2024 season holds for Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings? Do you think they could surprise the NFC North and salvage his career? You let me know in the comments section below.